All right, so I've got the mount in here, and then here's the bracket, and I've got these bolts in on both sides. But whenever they say reassemble in reverse, sometimes it isn't true. It's a pain in the butt. So I had to jack the car up pretty high, and then I got the mount in, and then had to kind of finagle this bracket in, and then the bolts, put them in. So now I'm gonna go put the bolts of the mount, the nuts on the mount, and then I'll lower the car down and put this bracket in. I'm gonna not tighten them up, because then I gotta put the stabilizer bar that goes from here to underneath the water pump. So I gotta leave all that loose. It's hard to have this set up where I can just show you how I did it, but just make sure you get the car jacked up pretty good. And plus my mount was the original one was so smashed that I still had to have it jacked up pretty high anyway. So it's raised the engine up fairly high. So actually it might make everything line up better for the exhaust. Anyway, I'm gonna put the nuts in on the bottom of the mount loose, and then that might need some finagling too, because I probably have to lift the mount up just to get the nuts started. I remember correctly, so I'll let you know. If I can make a video, I will. It's just hard to do, film this and do it at the same time, since I'm doing it by myself. All right, Hammer and Hatchet Engineering over and out. Well, one thing, it's a pain in the ass. You gotta kind of lift the mounts up. Also, these nuts are American SAE 5/8, so they're not Whitworth, so that kind of screws you up. But luckily, I had my 5/8 standing by. That one I kind of wiggled it around to get in. This one here is going to be a little bit more difficult. So just bear that in mind. 5/8 SAE. This mount came from Abingdon Spares. What I did is I lifted this up with a screwdriver, and I was able to kind of move the mount around where I could get the nut started. All right, I'm rebuilding my stabilizer bar for the front engine mount. Now, bear in mind, keep these caps, because the new rubbers, it's all you get in the rebuild kit, so you need to put that on. Oh, I have that backwards, see? Okay. Let's see, take that one off. All right. So I won't put these on until after I get the bar in. And of course, the water pump side is going to be the hardest. It's like I gotta wiggle the engine a bit. Sorry. There we go. So I had to push it over a little bit. And now I'll put down, and I'll put this side on first since it's easiest, but usually it's better to do the hard side, but we'll see. Hopefully that stays. Actually, that's not going to work. I got to do the hard side first because I decided to not tighten up the stabilizing bar or put nuts on the end because I'm gonna have to get all this in first, and I can do the nuts. I mean, it's just as hard to do it when the engine's in place than it is now. The main thing was just to make sure I got this in. So I'm gonna loosen this back up a little bit more and then put these bolts back in and then tighten that all up, and then I'll do this. So, alrighty, here goes. I'll have to come back. Alrighty, this is, I got all the bolts in for the front plate. As you can see, they're not tightened, and I've got all the ones down there. They're all loose, and I've got the stabilizer bar in, but not tightened. Now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten the plate to the front of the engine first, and then I can lower the engine down and then tighten all the other nuts and bolts on the mount, and then do the stabilizer bar last. So the trick is, the main trick really to do a front engine mount is to remove the hoses from your engine to the radiator. One, you could damage your radiator if you're not careful, and two, it just doesn't allow the engine to move around freely. So, unless you're restoring a car and then you put it all together, but just for changing mounts while everything's still hooked up, then it's a kind of a lengthy process, but it's a lot easier if you take the water hoses out. And unfortunately, I had to cut the top one, but I probably needed to do that anyway because who knows how old these hoses are. And there you have it. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but I got a new engine, the proper spigot to drain the water out of the block. I'm probably gonna take it back out again. I believe I just gotta flush the hell out of the engine, and it'll drain. That's just too restrictive. I'm just gonna it's too restrictive. I'm just gonna take it out and get get the maximum flow when I flush it, but that's gonna be at a later date. Boy, this took me a long time, but it's mainly just figuring it out and being lazy. So anyway, I'll tighten these bolts up and go on to the next step.